Here's something the financial media almost never tells you. You don't need to be rich to migrate abroad. You need to know where to look. While the immigration programs grabbing headlines require investment minimums of $200,000 or more, there's a whole other world of residency pathways built specifically for people with modest incomes, small savings, or nothing more than a steady, remote paycheck. Some of the countries on this list require no minimum income at all. One of them will let you stay for a full year with nothing more than a valid passport. Every figure in this video is sourced. Every visa pathway is current as of 2026. This is a practical guide for people making a real decision, not a fantasy relocation reel. Each country was looked at across 5 areas: visa accessibility and income requirements, realistic monthly cost of living for a single person, including rent, pathway to permanent residency or citizenship, quality of life, and the honest limitations that most guides tend to skip over. Cost of living figures come from Numbeo's Cost of Living Index, the Expatistan database, and current expat community reports. Monthly budgets reflect a comfortable but not extravagant lifestyle in a popular expat city. Rent, food, transport, utilities, and basic healthcare all included. They don't cover international flights, one-off visa fees, or big purchases. We start in Southeast Asia with the country that keeps showing up at the top of global value for money lists, and that has become one of the most straightforward migration options for anyone earning even a modest remote income. Very few places can match what Vietnam offers all at once: an extremely low cost of living, fast and affordable internet, improving healthcare infrastructure, extraordinary food, and a genuinely warm social environment for foreign residents. Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi are real, functioning modern cities. Da Nang and Hoi An are smaller and quieter and even cheaper. The country has been welcoming international arrivals for decades, and the infrastructure around that shows. For a single person living comfortably in a major city, rent included, you're looking at $800 to $1,200 a month. A one-bedroom in a central district runs $300 to $500, and street food will set you back just $1 to $2 a meal. Sit-down restaurants rarely go above $3 to $5. A private clinic visit is around $15, and internet speeds average a solid 70 to 90 Mbps nationally. On the visa side, a 90-day e-visa is available online for most nationalities and is renewable. Vietnam also launched a dedicated digital nomad visa in late 2025, giving you a full 12 months of legal residency in one go. For longer stays, a business visa through a local sponsor remains an option. Factor in visa fees, flights, and 3 months of living expenses, and your total relocation cost still sits under 15,000 euros, one of the lowest barriers to entry in the world. Vietnam's Numbeo Cost of Living Index sits at around 27, which means daily life here costs roughly 73% less than New York City. Vietnam doesn't yet have a clean path to permanent residency or citizenship for most foreign nationals. Long-term legal status means ongoing visa management renewals, sponsor arrangements, or working within the newer digital nomad structure. It's a fantastic base for years of comfortable living, but if you want a permanent legal home rather than an extended stay, you'll need to plan beyond what Vietnam can currently offer. The language barrier is also real once you step outside the expat-dense parts of the major cities. Directly west of Vietnam, and cheaper across almost every metric, Cambodia is the place that experienced Southeast Asia migrants often gravitate toward once they've had a chance to compare the regional options side by side. Cambodia's biggest advantage is how uncomplicated it is. The country runs largely on US dollars, which cuts out the exchange rate headaches for American and internationally paid expats. The cost of living is among the lowest in Asia. Phnom Penh has modernized quickly in recent years. New condos, co-working spaces, and international restaurants now sit alongside a functioning local economy. And the visa situation, by regional standards, it's about as simple as it gets. A single person living in Phnom Penh can expect to spend $700 to $1,000 a month, island, and even less if you're based in Siem Reap. A one-bedroom apartment will cost you $250 to $400 per month, and local meals typically run $2 to $3. When it comes to staying long-term, the business visa type E is the standard choice for most foreign residents. It costs around $300 per year to extend indefinitely, requires no proof of employment or minimum income, and can be renewed without ever leaving the country. That's a dollar-based economy, low living costs, and a visa you can extend annually for $300 with zero income threshold, which makes Cambodia one of the most financially accessible long-term residency options anywhere on Earth. Cambodia doesn't have a clear path to permanent residency or citizenship for most foreign nationals. The business visa system is practical, but informal in how it's actually implemented and depends on periodic renewals. Healthcare quality outside Phnom Penh is limited. Infrastructure in rural areas is underdeveloped, and the political environment, a one-party state with limited press freedom, is something long-term. Residents should weigh honestly, because most lifestyle guides tend to gloss over it. From Southeast Asia to the Caucasus, a country sitting at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, and home to the single most generous visa-free stay policy of any country on this list. Georgia's appeal starts with one straightforward fact. Citizens of over 95 countries, including the United States, the entire EU, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia, can enter Georgia and stay for 365 consecutive days with nothing more than a valid passport. No visa application, no income proof, no health insurance requirement. Just land and live. When the year's up, a border trip to Turkey or Armenia, even just for a day, resets the clock. For anyone who needs time to build income before committing to a formal residency program, this entry point is genuinely unlike anything else out there. On top of that, Georgia has a low cost of living, one of the world's most attractive small business tax rates, a growing tech and creative expat scene centered on Tbilisi, and a wine culture that predates most of the world's major civilizations. A single person living in Tbilisi should budget between $1,000 and $1,500 a month, rent included. A modern two-bedroom in a good neighborhood runs $500 to $800 per month. Dinner for two at a decent restaurant lands somewhere between $25 and $40, and monthly groceries average $200 to $300. The visa-free entry window covers 365 days for citizens of 95-plus countries. No application, no cost. For anyone looking to stay longer on a formal basis, registering as an individual entrepreneur opens up a remarkable tax structure. Freelancers and self-employed workers pay just 1% income tax on gross earnings up to roughly $155,000 per year, and the registration itself takes about 1 day at the Revenue Service. The newer IT sector residence permit, launched in September 2025, goes a step further. It offers 3-year renewable residency to tech professionals earning at least $25,000 per year. And if you're weighing the cost of the move itself, total relocation costs to Georgia come in under €3,000, making it the most affordable relocation on this entire list. Georgia's informal systems can be frustrating if you're used to Western bureaucratic predictability. Banking access for foreigners has improved, but remains uneven. Consumer protection and customer service work differently than in Western Europe or North America. The Georgian language uses its own unique script and bears no resemblance to any European language, which creates a real barrier outside Tbilisi's expat zones. And as of October 2025, the EU is reviewing its visa-free arrangement with Georgia due to diplomatic tensions, worth keeping an eye on if you hold an EU passport. Into South America, and to a country that has quietly become one of the most talked about low-barrier residency destinations in the world, pulling in a record 38,000-plus applications in 2025 alone. Paraguay offers a combination that's genuinely hard to find anywhere else: a residency program with no minimum income and no investment threshold, a territorial tax system that exempts all foreign-sourced income from local taxation, and one of the most direct paths to permanent residency and eventually citizenship available in Latin America. Since Law 6984 came into effect in 2022, Paraguay's general temporary residency no longer requires proof of income, investment, or a bank deposit. You demonstrate you can support yourself. The practical bar is modest, and you apply. 2 years of temporary residency leads to permanent residency. 3 years of permanent residency makes you eligible for citizenship. And the country allows dual nationality in practice, so most applicants won't need to give up their original passport. Living in Asunción as a single person will cost you $700 to $1,200 a month with rent included. A one-bedroom apartment runs $300 to $500. Meals out come in under $5, and local health insurance can be as low as $25 to $35 per month, which is remarkable value by any standard. The temporary residency application fee is roughly $350 paid to migration authorities. If you handle the process yourself, including document processing and translation, expect to spend $1,200 to $1,400 in total. With professional legal support, that rises to $1,700 to $3,000. There's no minimum income requirement under the standard pathway. If you prefer the alternative route through financial solvency, a one-time bank deposit of around $5,000 to $7,000 qualifies for permanent residency. Either way, Paraguay's territorial tax system means all income earned outside the country, remote work, pensions, investments, dividends, is 100% exempt from local taxation. Any local income, if you have it, is taxed at a flat 8 to 10%. Paraguay is genuinely underdeveloped compared to what most Western migrants are used to. Infrastructure outside Asunción is unreliable. Healthcare quality is limited beyond the capital. The country runs heavily on cash. English is nearly non-existent outside expat circles, and functional Spanish isn't optional, it's necessary. The pace of life and everyday service quality will take adjustment for anyone arriving from a high-income country. Paraguay works exceptionally well if what you want is the lowest possible cost legal residency in a stable country. It's not the right fit if you're expecting European standard convenience. Moving north of Paraguay and into a country that offers a very different kind of affordability, Colombia pairs a genuinely modern urban infrastructure with one of the most accessible income-based residency programs in Latin America. What makes Colombia interesting for budget migrants is the quality-to-cost ratio. Medellin, once known for very different reasons, has become one of Latin America's most celebrated expat cities. Excellent public transport, a pleasant year-round spring climate at 1,500 meters elevation, world-class coffee, and a technology and creative sector that has drawn remote workers from all over the world. Bogotá and Cartagena each offer something different depending on what you're after. The country is large enough to fit almost any lifestyle. In Mayday, a single person can live comfortably for $900 to $1,500 a month, including rent, while Bogotá tends to run slightly higher at $1,000 to $1,600. A one-bedroom in a safe, central Mayden neighborhood lands between $400 and $700 per month. GlobalCitizenSolutions actually names Colombia one of the 4 countries with the lowest cost of living for expats in 2026, with monthly costs typically falling between $800 and $2,000. Most nationalities can visit Colombia visa-free for up to 90 days. When it comes to longer stays, the digital nomad visa only requires proof of income from foreign sources, and the practical threshold sits at roughly $750 per month, one of the lowest income requirements for a legal residency visa anywhere in Latin America. Stay on the right side of that process, and permanent residency opens up after 5 years of continuous legal residency. Colombia's security situation varies significantly by region and neighborhood. Medellin and Bogotá have improved a lot, but petty crime, targeting foreigners, phone theft, bag snatching is documented and requires consistent awareness. The country's politics have been volatile in recent years. Cartagena's tourist zones inflate prices well above what the rest of the country costs, and anyone planning to stay beyond the visa-free 90 days needs to actively manage the residency process. Informal overstays aren't a sustainable approach here. The most popular destination for American expats on Earth, and one that offers a residency framework accessible to a wide range of income levels, with costs that shift dramatically depending on where you decide to plant yourself. Mexico's advantages for budget migrants are well established. It shares a border with the United States, making it practically and logistically simple for North Americans. Around 1.6 million U.S. citizens currently live in Mexico, the largest American expat community outside the country. The major cities have functioning modern infrastructure, a healthcare system that's both accessible and affordable, and a cultural depth that rewards people who stay long enough to really see it. Vietnam, Mexico, Thailand, and Colombia are consistently ranked as the 4 lowest-cost countries for U.S. expats in 2026, with monthly costs landing between $800 and $2,000 US for a single person. Within Mexico, the city you choose makes a real difference. Mexico City runs $1,200 to $1,800 US per month ELN, while Oaxaca and Merida come in noticeably lower, with comfortable single-person budgets of $900 to $1,300 US. On the residency side, temporary residency requires proof of monthly income of around $2,000 US or savings of roughly $30,000 US, one of the more accessible income thresholds among formal residency programs anywhere. Processing takes 1 to 2 months and is initiated at a Mexican consulate abroad. From there, once you've fulfilled the temporary residency requirements, permanent residency becomes available, with citizenship possible after 5 years of legal residency. Factor in visa fees, flights, and 3 months of living expenses, and total relocation costs still come in under 15,000 euros. Mexico's $2,000 US monthly income requirement is the highest on this part of the list, which puts it out of reach for the lowest earners. Safety varies significantly by region. Some states carry U.S. State Department Level 3 or Level 4 advisories, and decisions need to be made at the city and neighborhood level, not the country level. Housing costs in popular expat destinations, particularly Mexico City's Roma and Condesa neighborhoods, have pushed some lower-budget migrants out in recent years. There's more of Mexico than those obvious zones worth exploring. Thailand has been the default Southeast Asia expat destination for decades, and for much of that time, with good reason. The visa landscape has shifted significantly in recent years, and the right pathway now depends almost entirely on your age and income profile. Thailand's combination of climate, food, healthcare, quality, and cost of living remains one of the strongest value propositions in Asia for long-term foreign residents. Bangkok's private hospitals, Bumrungrad Bangkok Hospital, Samataj are internationally accredited and attract medical tourists from around the world. The food culture is extraordinary and inexpensive. Internet infrastructure in major cities is fast and reliable. And Chiang Mai, in northern Thailand, remains one of the world's most established digital nomad hubs, with co-working spaces, long-term apartment markets, and community infrastructure built specifically around remote working. A single person in Bangkok or Chiang Mai can expect to spend $900 to $1,500 US a month, with rent included. GlobalCitizenSolutions names Thailand one of the 4 lowest-cost countries for U.S. expats in 2026, with monthly budgets consistently falling between $800 and $2,000 US. The visa options depend on who you are. If you're 50 or older, the retirement visa requires proof of 65,000 Thai baht per month in income, roughly $1,800 US, or alternatively, a lump sum of 800,000 Thai baht, which works out to approximately $22,500 US, sitting in a Thai bank account. If you're just getting started, the standard tourist visa with a 30-day extension is the most common entry point and requires no income proof at all. For those with savings rather than a regular income, the Thailand Elite Visa is worth considering. It starts at $16,000 US for a 5-year membership, a one-time cost rather than ongoing income proof, and at the higher end. The long-term resident visa for remote workers requires $80,000 US in annual income. That's the premium option, not the budget pathway. Thailand doesn't have a straightforward permanent residency or citizenship pathway for most foreign nationals, and the visa system needs consistent management. The retirement visa income threshold around $1,800 US per month is workable but not effortless. The elite visa's $16,000 US upfront cost may actually be more accessible than proving ongoing income for some people, but it still requires that lump sum from the start. Overstaying visas, while common in backpacker circles, is being enforced with increasing consistency. Portugal is the most frequently mentioned affordable European migration destination, and while costs have gone up in Lisbon and Porto, the rest of the country still offers a standard of living that's hard to match at the price point, especially if you're earning a foreign income. Portugal brings together political stability, a high global peace index ranking 7th globally in 2025, a genuine Mediterranean quality of life, EU membership with all the legal protections and travel rights that come with it, and an immigration framework designed explicitly for people living on passive or remote income. It's not the cheapest country on this list, but it's the most accessible, affordable European country, and for migrants who want Western European stability and infrastructure without the Western European price tag, it remains the leading choice. Portugal's cost of living sits approximately 39% lower than the UK, 27% lower than France, and 38% lower overall compared to the United States, excluding rent. Rent itself runs about 46% lower than comparable US cities. A couple living in northern Portugal can expect monthly expenses of around £1,750 British pounds, higher than most entries on this list, but still well below most Western European equivalents. For residency, the D7 visa, Portugal's passive income visa, requires a minimum monthly income of €920 from abroad. Whether that comes from a pension, investments, rental income, or remote employment, approval can come through in as little as 3 months. The initial permit gives you 2 years of temporary residency, renewable for 3 more. Permanent residency becomes available after 5 years, and Portuguese citizenship follows after 10 or 7 years for EU nationals and citizens of Portuguese-speaking countries. For remote workers and entrepreneurs specifically, the digital nomad visa, known as the D8, offers a comparable pathway. Portugal also ranks second in the GlobalCitizenSolutions Retirement Index for U.S. citizens in 2025. Lisbon and Porto have seen significant rent inflation over the past 5 years, driven by tourism and an influx of higher-earning remote workers. Budget migrants who arrive expecting the cost levels from 5 years ago will need to reset expectations. The €920 monthly income requirement is accessible but not trivial for very low earners, and the Portuguese government has signaled plans to extend the naturalization route from 5 years to 7 to 10 years, meaning that citizenship timeline could lengthen for future applicants. The Alento, the Algarve's interior, and northern Portugal are substantially cheaper than Lisbon. Targeting those regions changes the budget picture considerably. South America's most stable democracy, one of the continent's safest countries, and a residency program built around showing that you intend to live there rather than around a minimum investment. Uruguay holds an unusual position in the migration conversation. It's not the cheapest option in Latin America, but it offers a combination of institutional stability, legal transparency, social infrastructure, and quality of life that nothing else in the region really matches. It's a country where the institutions work, the roads are maintained, the internet is fast. Over 90% of households are connected to fiber with speeds regularly exceeding 200 Mbps, and the social environment is inclusive and orderly. For migrants who want Latin American cost levels with developed country governance, this is the answer. Living in Montevideo will cost you approximately 20 to 30% less than in the United States, rent included. Uruguay also ranks third in the GlobalCitizenSolutions Digital Nomad Report 2025, which reflects the quality of the overall package rather than just the price point. The residency program itself is accessed through the independent means, visa for those with passive or foreign income, and it carries no strict minimum income requirement. In practice, immigration authorities typically look for around $1,500 per month in demonstrable regular income. What sets Uruguay apart from almost every other country on this list is that permanent residency is available from day one. You're not required to work through a temporary stage first. On the tax side, Uruguay operates a territorial system, meaning foreign income, whether that's a pension, investment, returns, or remote earnings, is not taxed locally for the first 5 years of residency under the country's tax holiday provision. Citizenship then becomes available after 3 to 5 years of residency, depending on your circumstances. Uruguay is measurably more expensive than its Latin American neighbors. Costs are 20 to 30% lower than the U.S., not 60 or 70% lower like Vietnam or Cambodia. Punta del Este, the coastal resort area, is noticeably pricier than Montevideo. For equivalent accommodation, the country is small, with a population of 3.5 million, and outside Montevideo the options for urban social life narrow quickly. If you're on a very low income and need the absolute lowest monthly burn rate in Latin America, Paraguay or Colombia will serve you better. Uruguay's premium is the quality and stability of what it provides. At the top of the list, a country that brings together low costs, modern infrastructure, an established and accessible residency program, and a standard of living that consistently surprises first-time arrivals who came in. Malaysia sits in a category of its own among affordable migration destinations. It's not the cheapest country in the region. Vietnam and Cambodia edge it on raw cost, but it offers something neither of those countries currently provides: a well-established, government-backed, long-stay visa program designed specifically for foreign retirees and remote workers, a healthcare system that consistently ranks among Asia's best value, an English-speaking infrastructure built up over decades of international presence, and a modern urban environment in Kuala Lumpur that functions at a level comparable to cities that cost 3 times as much to live in. Its Numbeo cost of living index sits below 40, and relocation costs, visa fees, flights, and 3 months of expenses come in comfortably under 15,000 euros. A single person in Kuala Lumpur can live well for $900 to $1,400 a month with rent included. Step outside KL to Penang IPO or Johor Bahru, and those numbers come down noticeably. For long-term residency, the primary vehicle is the Malaysia My Second Home program, known as MM2H. In its current standard form, it requires proof of monthly offshore income of 40,000 Malaysian ringgit, approximately $9,000, and a fixed deposit of 1 million Malaysian ringgit, which works out to around $220,000. That places the standard track well beyond the budget scope of this list. However, Malaysia also runs a Sarawak MM2H variant governed by the state of Sarawak on the island of Borneo with significantly more accessible requirements. The Sarawak program asks for a fixed deposit of 150,000 Malaysian ringgit, roughly $32,000, along with proof of monthly offshore income of 10,000 Malaysian ringgit, which is approximately $2,200. In return, it grants 5-year renewable residency and is widely considered one of the most accessible long-stay programs in Southeast Asia for moderate-income migrants. For anyone who hasn't yet reached those thresholds, Malaysia's standard tourist visa allows stays of up to 90 days for most Western nationalities. Renewable with a short border run, the standard national MM2H program's requirements are beyond most budget migrants. The Sarawak variant is the accessible pathway here, but it ties your residency to Sarawak specifically, meaning Kuala Lumpur and Peninsular Malaysia won't be your base under that program. The country doesn't offer a clear permanent residency pathway for most foreign nationals outside of investment routes. And Malaysia's political environment has seen periodic shifts in how the MM2H program is administered. Requirements have changed before, and you should verify the current terms before committing. That's the list. 10 countries. Income requirements ranging from $0 to $2,200 per month. Monthly living costs from $700 to $1,800. Legal pathways that go from a 365-day visa-free entry all the way to direct permanent residency with no investment threshold. 3 things worth holding on to before you go. First, the cheapest entry point isn't always the right fit. Georgia and Cambodia offer the lowest financial barriers on this list. Paraguay offers the most direct path to permanent residency and citizenship. Portugal brings EU membership and institutional stability. Malaysia offers the best infrastructure at the cost level. What matters more than chasing the lowest monthly number is matching your prioridad, what the country actually does well. SECOND. Every residency program on this list can change. Requirements have been raised, lowered, and restructured in several of these countries within just the last 3 years. Vietnam launched a digital nomad visa in late 2025. Paraguay adjusted its income requirements with Law 6984 in 2022. Thailand's elite visa pricing has changed multiple times. The figures in this video are current as of 2026. Verify the latest requirements directly with the relevant embassy or official immigration website before you apply. Third, living abroad on a modest income works when the research is done first. The people who regret the move are almost always the ones who went on a feeling. The ones who stay are usually the ones who checked the visa costs, mapped out the monthly budget, chose a city rather than a country, and showed up with a realistic plan. The door is open wider than you think. You just need to know which one to walk through.